Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's ceremony where the men and women of the United States Air Force and Air Force Reserve Command pay special tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper on the occasion of his retirement from the United States Air Force. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Colonel Retired Don D. Davis, Comptroller, Oklahoma City, Air Logistics Center, Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma. And I am Chief Master Sergeant Retired Joe Banks. And I have to say that it is my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremony. Joining us today are many special guests. Please hold your applause until I have completed all formal introductions. Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's wife, Lynn Benton Cooper. Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's daughter, Kayla Wilmenkamp. Former Headquarters Air Force Deputy Assistant Secretary for Financial Operations, Mr. James E. Short. Deputy Director of Operations, Defense Finance and Accounting Service, Mr. Steve Kerner. Colonel Matt Swanson. Colonel Reed Hopkins. Colonel Tracy Seams. Colonel Bill Marr. Dr. Ian Dowswell and his wife Christine. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all officers, chiefs, senior NCOs, civilians, and friends of the Cooper family. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave? Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather here in this monument, this tribute to duty and honor and service, we gather with grateful hearts. We're grateful for the freedom that we have in this country, the blessing of being born in a land where all men are created equal in your sight. We're grateful for the names we saw listed on the walls of this monument as we entered, men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that freedom for us, and for those brave individuals and their families, we give you thanks. We're grateful today for one of our own, Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Cooper, who has given 32 faithful years of duty and honor and service. And so today, Lord, we have gathered here in this place to celebrate. We celebrate his military career and his accomplishments. We celebrate the heritage that his father and uncles set before him and that he has carried on military service. We thank you for his family, for Lynn and the girls, and his grandchildren who have made their own sacrifices so that Lieutenant Colonel Cooper could fulfill his duties. And on this day, Lord, we ask you to bless him, bless his family, but bless him especially in this new chapter, this new journey that he is about to begin. Most of all, we thank you for the freedom that you provide each of us, not freedom from dictators, but freedom for eternity and for the ultimate sacrifice that you provided through your Son so that we might experience that freedom. Now, Lord, bless this gathering, bless these proceedings, and bless Lieutenant Colonel Cooper for a job well done. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. David, the floor is yours. You sat down, so you can.
All right. You don't have to do these work. Good morning. My name is Don Davis, and I am just honored to be here this morning. I tell you, I used to do these things without script or without words. And of course, you know, our computer fills up with storage, no more storage anymore. Well, that's why I'm brainwashed. You know, nothing else I can put there. So I want to take right off the bat. I want to recognize a couple of people. Mr. Shorter, good to see you, sir. Mr. Turner, good to see you. And Dowdwell, Mr. Dr. Dowdwell, was he here today? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, how are you doing? It's nice to have you here. You know, I've done a few of these. I've attended quite a few of these over the years. Hey, Bill, it's good to see you out there, sir. How you doing? I will tell you that this is one of the most beautiful atmospheres I've ever been in. You know, I've been in the Women's Memorial outside Arlington Cemetery, but the venue here is just outstanding. I just can't think of a better place to do this. And I'm really honored to be here to do this for you, Chuck. Before I go too much further, I want to thank Bob. Bob, that was great. Where's Bob at? Oh, okay. That's really awesome. I appreciate you doing that. You know, the purpose here today is to retire Chuck. And I know you all, his older friends, call him Charlie. I won't be able to do that. But retire Chuck after over 32 years of service. Quite an honor. You know, I've done a few of these, like I said. I love to do these. I love to be a part of them. Partly because when you do this, you'll learn a lot about people that you didn't know. You know, I've known Chuck for 5 or 6 years. We talked a lot. I know a lot of you have known him even longer. But when you do this, you find out things about him that you never knew before. And you get to share that with people around. And I think that's what makes retirement such a special event. And that's kind of what I want to do today. I kind of want to tell you a little bit about Chuck's career and some of the things he's done throughout his career, things I've learned about. A little bit about Lynn. He made everything right. I mean, and I'll talk about her a little bit later on too. Like I said, when you do this, you learn a little bit about people. And I learned, of course, Chuck was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, Missouri.
There comes the Missouri Tigers shirt for you.
And you know Chuck, you know he's a very humble person. His dad was a very humble person. His dad who served in World War II and got the Bronze Star. And Chuck told me he didn't find out about that until long after his father was passed. I think Chuck was also became a humble person because he had 3 older brothers. You know, Chuck grew up in Springfield, graduated from high school, and sort of wandered, I guess, for a little while, trying to figure out what it was he was going to do. Well, along that way, he made a couple of great decisions. First of all, he met Lynn. And second of all, he decided to join the Air Force. And then he asked Lynn to marry him. Well, we were lucky that he decided to join the Air Force, and I was going to say he was lucky that he got Lynn, but I think we're all lucky that he got Lynn. So, you know, Chuck joined the Air Force, went down to BNT to Lackland. He got married about a month before he went to the Air Force, and he went to basic training, did that, and then he went to Shepherd. I don't know how many of you all look pretty young in here, so I don't think any of you went to Shepherd when it was a financial school, but he went to Shepherd. It's a big white building there, and the eventful thing happened there is that big tornado about 30 years ago kind of wiped out Wichita Falls and the base. Lynn was there with him. She had just received her nursing degree. She was a nurse, and big excitement for him. She didn't endear too much to Texas or that part of the country, the tornadoes did, but she got through there. After basic training and after tech school, he got his first assignment, Wichita, Kansas. Now, we don't call it Wichita, Kansas. Connell Air Force Base. The SAC base. Started there in finance, like a young airman, did great. After about 18 months, he went to Coffee, where he met some lifelong friends, Tony Thompson, Pat Coley. I think Tony was a young lieutenant going through the training program. About a little bit he know in a few years he would be back working for Tony Thompson. We did that, you know. Again, Lynn was doing the nursing thing when she could do it. And after about 4 years, they just decided they wanted to go through the military, and Chuck wasn't making any money. They decided, you know, to take a break from the Air Force, and they did. So in 1982, they, with their first child born, they moved back to Missouri. Chuck enrolled in University of Missouri at Columbia. It's hard for me to say Missouri, University of Missouri. No, I'm from Oklahoma. You know? I was going to tell you at the very beginning, I know, you know, you find out things about people, and I knew he was from Missouri, and I kind of consider Missouri fans like Chicago Cub fans, you know. I don't have a Chicago Cub fans. You know, the Cubs fans will probably never win a World Series, and Missouri will never win the Big 12 as long as those years exist. It's okay, from 82 to 86, he went back to school, he became, he was a ROTC cadet there, he graduated and he was a distinguished graduate when he was there. After he did that, he decided maybe give the Air Force another chance. So he was recommissioned, and where did he go? He came back to Texas, Carswell Air Force Base, where his boss was Tony Thompson, the guy that he had met as a young lieutenant. You know, of the SAC base, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with SAC. The SAC was a very rigid, very structured command. You did what they said, when they said it, and how they said it. And that was Chuck's first assignment as an officer. But like I said, Chuck was not the normal new lieutenant. You know, he had a little prior time, he knew how things worked in finance. So he did the normal rotation. And I want to mention some SMAs. I don't think many of you remember what those mean anymore. But when you were a young lieutenant and you started off in a comptroller squad, you did all the subject matter areas: bill pay, civ pay, accounts control, material, supply, P&C. You did it all. You spent a little time learning how you do all that. It was not a problem for Chuck. And because Chuck wasn't new to the Air Force, he got an opportunity to do other things. I mean, he knew the Air Force. He was a sharp guy. You could see that right off the bat. So he got exposed to war planning, which was SAC's business, did a little bit of that. Digital duties such as PNFP, Personal Financial Management Program. Anybody know what that is? I know you do. Back in the day, they would give lieutenants an opportunity to counsel people that had money problems. Can you imagine that? Lieutenants teaching somebody how to. And some of the stories are very interesting. I'll stop and Chuck. Sometimes you would get airmen or lieutenants or family members that believed like they had checks, they had money. It didn't really matter what they had. If they could write a check, they believed they had money. It was a very interesting experience, but Chuck weathered that storm. Also, while he was there, because he was up and going, I think Carswell hosted the SAC Comptroller Conference. Here he has this young lieutenant. And when you were a lieutenant, you got exposed and had to do everything. He did. It was a great conference, turned out well, and he was on his way. He was seen as somebody on the move. While he was there, they had an IG. His organization got an excellent. Now, I don't know if you, again, I know you all are young in here, but as far as SAC is concerned, you get an excellent, you're off the chart. SAC didn't give out excellence. And they didn't give out outstandings for sure, but excellent was about as good as you got. SAC was more into destroying mode. They didn't really fix things. After a couple of years there, Chuck and the family, now with 2 daughters, went to Insula. I don't know, again, I'm David. Turkey is a great assignment. If you ever get an opportunity to go to Turkey, go. They went to Insula. Chuck was there, his deputy AFO, had about 60 people working for him, both airmen, civilian, foreign nationals, responsible for about $240 million in disbursements. And once again, you did good, had a great boss. But here he kind of honed in on his customer service skills. Did a lot of things there. For example, he took finance to the customer. At Insula, a lot of the guys, in Turkey at that time, the only place you could cash checks was either cashier cage or BX. And a lot of guys, and women that worked out there just couldn't get the finance, the hours to do it. So Chuck took the cashier's cage to the people. Chuck also started a VIP program where the senior leadership didn't always get there. So he came to senior leadership if they had issues with their pay or anything financial. He did a very awesome job there. He also hosted, he was also part of the team that hosted the Safety Commander General Duty at the time. Once again, things went well. And when Chuck left, I think the IG Insulate said they were the best customer service organization adding. So as you can see, Chuck is off to a fantastic start. Did great things. After 2 years, Chuck went to Lakey. And boy, did he arrive as a good time. It was in the early 90s, and it was about time for Desert Storm. Chuck set up, I think, somewhere in the area over a period of 15 mobility lines to get people through to point them to the AOR. I think there were like 2,500 paid transaction actions that he made during that time. His work was so good that they, in fact, he was awarded, or his unit was awarded Specialized Achievement by both USAFE and also the Air Force, which was quite an achievement. Chuck did good there anyway, though. I think over the period of time, he maybe saw about 7,500 customers. You think metrics are bad today. In the 80s, we had them too. You know, customer service, pay as you wait, a 3-day turnaround on travel vouchers. Customer service was a big deal. And in USAFE, they had a standard with, if you were a customer, you had to be seen by a technician in less than 10 minutes or something to that effect. And over that 3-year period, Chuck, I think the unit, his organization, averaged about 8 minutes. So that was great. Once again, customer service right off the bat. Chuck did some other things. He looked at the organization. He did, facility changes, meal pay and travel pay together so people could take care of it. It created some synergies and efficiencies. Just did a phenomenal job there. Unfortunately, in the early 90s, we thought Desert Storm overwhelmed Saddam Hussein. The Russians had gone away, the Cold War had ended, and the politicians were looking for the peace to end. And for us, that meant they were going to draw down the military. We were so overwhelmingly successful with Iraq, and said that we really need this 2 million man force. If you were in the Air Force and you were a young officer, you were faced with some sort of dilemma here. You had an option. You could either meet a voluntary separation board, maybe make it through, or maybe you'd be separated, or you could join, or you could enroll in this voluntary separation incentive program. And what they did there was they said, okay, you agree to separate, and we'll pay you for the next X number of years a small amount of money. And oh, by the way, if you want, later on, you can become a reservist. Now, when I did it, it was just my wife and myself. I didn't have a family. I could take a chance. Chuck had a family, a growing family. And we were support officers. And we were banking pilots and putting them in the support position. So if you were a support officer, your chances of being put out were pretty high. So instead of doing that, Chuck decided to separate and came back to the States and became an employee of DFAS. In 1997, 1998, he rejoined the reserves out here in Grissom, as you all know. Chuck hit the ground running. Right off the bat, he was put in charge of the Top Dollar team. And I know most of you know what that is, but for those that don't, Top Dollar is our finance warfighting kind of exercise. We go out in the field and exercise how we would pay for things, pay agent duties, all kind of financial transactions out in the field, which really came in handy in the last decade. But Chuck was very good. And up to that point, the reserve command hadn't done too good in Top Dollar. I think the highest finish they had to that point was like 4th place. But Chuck came in and structured training, scheduled training, set performance goals. And in addition to teaching people the financial side of it, he forced them to do other things like fitness and marksmanship. As a result of his leadership, the team finished number 2 overall and number 1 in fitness and marksmanship. Quite an accomplishment. In 1999, he was again asked to do this, and again, he took on the charge. Also, during this period of time, he set up an officer mentoring program. Chuck really is into mentoring and training. He set up a officer mentoring program for the young reserve officers. And as a result of all the things he did that year, he was acknowledged as the Reserve FM of the Year in 1999, by an accomplishment. And only being back after 2 years. he was asked to update and review and update the training syllabus for the reserves. He did that. Chuck was always, and still is, ready to serve. You know, over the last 10 years, Chuck has probably been on active duty almost half of that time. In 2003, after we were getting ready to go into Iraq, and we decided to bring our dependents and so our military out of Turkey until the war was over. Chuck went to Charleston and set up NEO evacuation operation to in-process people when they came back over. I think we processed over 1,500 people during that period of time. In 2004, when Charleston lost our comptroller, short notice, and we needed somebody to be there, there was nobody on the horizon to fill in the job. Chuck volunteered for 8 months, took the job, made everything okay. You know, I almost felt like he was like Ghostbusters, you know. You can call him. Chuck Cooper. During this time, Chuck was also handpicked to lead a command-wide comptroller contingency plan. He did this, honors with that. He was part of the 431st Air Refueling Wing that won the Rainbow Cross Program. One accomplishment there. In 2005, he became the first reservist to take over an active duty comptroller squad. Here's the scenario. You know, we've been at war about 2.5 years now. We're running out of people to deploy. You know, our comptrollers are going to the desert or wherever else they're going. We're taking people off the MAGCOM staff and sticking them in the comptroller squadron to support them while the commander's gone. And we're running out of those. So the idea was, let's bring a reservist in to let him do it. And it was a test, and Chuck was the very first one. Chuck not only filled in the role, but he made things better. You know, he stepped in, there was a runway closure to help source resources to help whatever requirements they needed, set up DTS. One of the things he did, in 2005, and I think Mr. Short would know, there was a document called PPD 720 where we were going to reduce the forces. And one of the things we wanted to do was to reduce the number of people that came into our finance offices. So what we did was we set up kiosks all around the base. And I think Grand Force was one of the first ones we did it. Well, Chuck made it happen. And really helped the, you know, guys on the flight line and places like that. So that's where they could go and find out how their pay was. In 2006, knowing who Chuck was, hearing about his reputation. By the way, the first time I met Chuck or talked to Chuck, I was a graduate when I was becoming a lieutenant colonel. And in 2006, I actually met him. I needed an exec. Again, all my staff was deployed. I needed somebody to come in and help. I needed a mature officer to come in and take care of some things that needed to be taken care of. Chuck was the man. Came in and realigned my plan shop. He restructured how we used reserves and command. He took on personal responsibility to look at all the awards that came through the office. I mean, he just took it on. You know, he'd send them back. They were perfect by the time they got to be assigned. And as a result, we won more than our fair share of Air Force awards in White House there. Thanks, Chuck, for that. In 2007, I again asked him to go to the field. Asked him to take over Dover. He did, once again, an outstanding job. He eliminated DTC debt, interest payments. As a result of his leadership, Comptroller Squadron there was part of the SINC Installation Excellent Award that were awarded that. I will take you through. I really believe that had the commanders been able to keep Chuck, they would have kept Chuck. He hadn't been a reservist, they would have forced me to leave him there. He was always there. 2008 was the pinnacle of his career. He was awarded the James E. Street Mentorship and Career Development Award. Rightfully deserved. There's a lot more if you look at Chuck's records. I mean, you'll see that he was dedicated to training, he was dedicated to taking care of people. He was a mentor, and he was always steady. As you can see by what I've said, he was a very effective officer. He was innovative. One of the things Chuck did before, you know, I looked at Chuck's OPRs in his career, I see where it said things like he automated things in the office to handle man shortfalls. He did this in 1988 and 89. In 1988 and 89, we only had 1 or 2 computers for every comptroller organization. But he took it on himself to be the lead, to go out there and fix it and know how to automate these things. He was ahead of his Chuck was a total force. He was enlisted, he was an officer, in active duty, DOT civilian, and reserve or something. He was a total force. Let me tell you a little bit about my friend, Chuck. You know Chuck. You know Chuck is loyal to a fault. He would do almost anything for you anytime. You know, he took bullets from me that I didn't even know would come. And if he ever let you down or felt that he let you down, you know, you just drop. You just have to go, you just have to see your life. Tell him what he had done for you. He was committed 110%. Chuck said he was going to do something for you, it was going to happen. Selfless. You saw all the times he went out and left his family. He didn't have to do that. I don't know if he could have made it without him. And again, he's got to be one of the most humble people that I've ever met and associated with in my life. You know, he's a great man. And we're going to present Lynn with something a little bit later. But I just feel that it's appropriate for me to say something about her now. Then the last 10 years, well, I know the last 5 years, thanks to you, we had him and things were better. I mean, you sacrificed a lot. And you didn't have to do it. And I always wanted to meet you. I said, who is this person? She must be an angel. He's always with me. I appreciate it. I thank you so much for sharing it. Well, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, John. Chief, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready to have it.
Thank you, Colonel Davis. Please rise as Colonel Davis presents the Air Force. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal, 3rd Oakland Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper. Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Chief Financial Manager, 434th Air Refueling Wing, Grissom Air Reserve Base, Indiana. During this period, Colonel Cooper's superb leadership, technical expertise, and innovation were critical in the effective and efficient execution of the 434th Air Refueling Wing annual financial program, supporting the worldwide mission of the wing. Throughout his career, he has been frequently asked to provide input into solutions of financial issues across the command. He has been a champion in the Air Force efforts to transform financial management systems. During the course of financial services program transformation, Colonel Cooper played a significant role in the development and implementation of travel and military paid customer support initiatives and helped shape the future of the Air Force Comptrollership for years to come. Colonel Cooper has been a key wing staff member whose contributions have been vital to the overall success of the wing. His commitment to mentoring and growth of officers, enlisted members, and civilian employees stands out through demonstrated personal excellence and led to his selection as the 2008 Secretary of the Air Force for Financial Management, James E. Short Award for Mentorship and Professional Development. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Cooper culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement orders. Attention to orders. Special order number Echo Kilo 4843. Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper, effective 21 July 2011, is relieved from current assignment. Assigned to the retired reserve section and placed on the U.S. Air Force Reserve retired list in the grade of Lieutenant Colonel by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Davis will now present Lieutenant Colonel Cooper with his certificate of retirement. Certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall receive these presents and greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Air Force on the 21st day of July, 2011. Signed, Norton A. Schwartz, General, United States Air Force, Chief of Staff, and Charles E. Stenner, Jr., Lieutenant General, United States Air Force, Chief of the Air Force Reserve. Colonel Davis will now present Lieutenant Colonel Cooper with a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. Certificate of appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States to Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper. I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Barack Obama, Commander-in-Chief. A letter from the Air Force Reserve Command Comptroller. Dear Lieutenant Colonel Cooper, our citizens, and the Air Force Reserve Command owe a sincere appreciation for your leadership, vision, and inspiration. We appreciate the many sacrifices you and your family have endured over the past 32 years. During your tenure, our Air Force has made innumerable changes in all operations, and our comptroller curriculum has been no exception. Part of that change in comptroller activities was tied to Air Force Top Dollar training, where we first met. And at that time, I noted your leadership capabilities. It has been rewarding to see you progress to Lieutenant Colonel and to help shape our military curriculum in the Air Force Reserve Command. You have had a truly exceptional and successful career. Your goal was always to improve our nation's armed forces for the men and women who proudly serve. Your record consistently reflects your uncompromising integrity, loyalty, and selfless contributions to the Air Force family, our nation, and the world. You have served with distinction and achieved a singular level of excellence. You will be greatly missed. On behalf of the men and women of the Air Force Reserve Command Financial Management Community, please accept my best wishes to you and Lynn for a retirement full of health and happiness, fair seas in the following wind. Godspeed. Sincerely, Edward S. Jones, Colonel, United States Air Force retired, Comptroller, Air Force Reserve Command. Lieutenant Colonel Cooper is an avid race fan, so now we have a special letter of appreciation from Richard Petty. I have to say, not many people get letters like this. And it reads, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Cooper, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to salute you today as you retire from the United States Air Force. It is with great pride and patriotism that I take this time to honor you, a member of the greatest Air Force in the world, as you retire from the United States Air Force. Your sacrifices, your family's sacrifices, and service to our nation has been great, and we are truly grateful. Your Air Force career is extremely noteworthy. From your years in service as an enlisted airman up to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, you were a distinguished graduate of the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps and the University of Missouri, Columbia. You all right, kid? All right, at University of Missouri, Columbia. Air Force Reserve Command Financial Management and Comptroller of the Year 2000. Air Force Reserve Command Financial Reservist Officer of the Year for 1999. These are all truly trademarks of a true patriot and professional. You have truly displayed the core values of the Air Force, and I might add stock car racing. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. It is people like you, those who wear the uniform today, and those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, that we all live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. On behalf of Richard Petty Enterprises Please accept this letter as a small token of our sincere thanks and appreciation on your retirement and service to the greatest nation on the earth. We wish you and your family continued success in all your future endeavors. May God continue to bless you, and may God continue to bless America. Sincerely, signed Richard Petty, Titania Bracelet. I still think he did the letter. Dave did. Thanks, Dave. Every retiree receives a special retirement payment as a memento of their service. Mrs. Cooper, would you please come forward and place the retirement payment on your husband's uniform that symbolizes transition to retirement status? From now on, each time Lieutenant Colonel Cooper wears his uniform or suit, this pin will serve as a reminder to all that he has served his country faithfully and has earned his retirement. The pin indicates he is still an Air Force member, but now serves in a retired status. Colonel Cooper, please wear this pin proudly on any occasion that you may represent the Air Force. It is also customary to present the spouse of the retiring member recognition for her role in supporting her husband's career. At this time, Colonel Davis will present the certificate of appreciation to Mrs. Cooper for her contribution on her husband's career.
We have some.
Certificate of appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Lynn Penton Cooper for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this 21st day of July 2011, signed Norton A. Schwartz, General, United States Air Force, Chief of Staff, and Charles E. Stenner, Jr., Lieutenant General, United States Air Force, Chief of the Air Force Reserve.
You know, like I said, I've done this, so I know that nobody is successful without a successful mate. You do more than that, you're not just doing the best, and this is from you. And all the guys that I work with, it just made a difference. Myself, Tony Groves, and all of us in front office, we're better, but the Chuck was there because you made me. Thank you, man, so much. I'm going to consider it.
Major Keel, will you come forward and present Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's shadow box? The Air Force Shadow Box is rich in military tradition. As its name implies, it shadows a military member's career. As such, the Shadow Box, now being unveiled on behalf of members of the Air Force Financial Management family, represents various milestones in Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's Air Force assignments over 32 years. His dedication to our country is reflected in the medals, true tokens of military service. The ribbons are more than mere threads, reflect the person who wore the uniform of the United States Air Force. Each device a reaffirmation of service. The rank insignias are symbols of his ability to lead others, more importantly, to follow. The flag enclosed in the shadow box was flown over the U.S. Capitol in honor of his service to this great country. No physical memento included in the shadow box displays the sacrifices made by his family to support him during his Air Force career. The shadow box itself would not have been possible without their love and support. In the end, it is a tribute to the entire Cooper family. May you display the shadow box in a prominent place where all who see it know that you have served our country this time, we will present the flag which belonged to his father, a combat veteran of World War II. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that a flag of the United States be 13 stripes alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White symbolizes purity and innocence. Blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving at the British shelters of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong landed on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the thin flash of our aircraft in harm's way, in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for their freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on land and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel of our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all, long may it live. Ladies and gentlemen, I present for the first time Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Cooper, United States Air Force Reserve, retired.
Guys, I got to say thank you for being here. The last little bit has been somebody telling stories about me. So I really want to make today, though, about y'all. Because this day wouldn't have been possible without a lot of people. It certainly doesn't mean anything I did. So in doing this, I'm going to try to practice the B's. And that is, be prepared, be brief, and be gone. First of all, I wish my mom and dad could be here. I don't know that they believe everything he said. They'd probably tell you that. I hate you to say that. Well, I guess I did. Even though my mom and dad weren't here physically, I want you to know that they played a huge part in today. Dad was in the 3rd Infantry Division during World War II, and he saw action in Sicily, Battle of Bulge, and he was also at Normandy. So my dad was there, and he saw it, he never spoke of it, never once. The only thing he ever said was, I don't want my feet to get cold ever again. I think that's the Battle of Bulge. Then my mom was always about giving and serving others, and she had a house rule. And her house rule was Sunday dinner, no matter how bad she felt, and she was scrawnier. I mean, my mom couldn't weigh 90 pounds soaking wet. But she always had a great big fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, all that good stuff. And her rule was we had to bring our friends and our girlfriends to Sunday dinner. So I'm kind of sad that my mom and dad couldn't be here today. Mr. Short, thank you, sir. That I was able to earn an award that bears your name, that's a privilege for me, and it's truly an honor that you're here today. And I thank you for being there, and I hope that my career is kind of set, or at least been somewhere near the bar that you set. Thank you very much. Mr. Turner, thank you, sir. I know you're busy and got lots of things to do, but you took a few minutes out of your time to be here today. That means a lot, and your mentorship and friendship and some really hard times. And I'll be honest with you, not everything I ever did turned to gold. You know, sometimes you have to go and change jobs, and Mr. Turner was there to kind of help pick up some of the pieces when I had to change jobs, and I thank you for that, sir. Colonel Davis, you know, other than the fact that you're a Sooner fan, we'll overlook some of these character flaws. But I want to thank you for being here, and I think some of the biggest things I learned from you, sir, were about friendship, loyalty, integrity, and officership, and all those things I learned from you, and you put a lot of trust in me, and I got to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes machinations, and on top of everything else, you're my friend, and you're one of the best friends I've ever had. Thank you very much for being here and doing this for me today. There's a lot of folks out here I've worked with over the years. Chief Stern, Bob Millett, Gina LaFrance. You know, you guys, we served together. Matt, Bill, Joe, Quinn, you guys. I've served with you, and I got to be honest with you, there's no way I could have ever gotten to make Lieutenant Colonel. In fact, Jim Grider would probably tell you, I sat around the office and at work and said, it's not going to happen. Not anyway going to happen. But because I had good people like that to work with, and they made me look good, you know, Colonel Blue, I want to thank you for being here, sir. I appreciate it. Jerry Wright. Jerry, let me tell you a story about Jerry. Jerry always had a story about everything, but the story I want to tell about Jerry is every time he went TDY, he'd go TDY somewhere for 6 or 7 months, wherever the command went. It seemed amazing how every time he came back, there was another little Wright running around. I don't know how that happened. He came all the way from Stuttgart, Germany to be here today, and I appreciate that, Jerry. And I'll never forget the first trip we took to Portland. You know, we took John Cornyn. John, where are you? There you are. We took John Cornyn to Multnomah Falls. We had a pretty good time. And of course, we took him to the Greek place and got his girlfriend on the phone. We only met briefly, and we knew John was hooked. I mean, when he came back from PDI in 2003, the hook was set. So, and Chief, thank you for agreeing to do this for me today. I know you had to struggle getting off the golf course, and I know you've tried to take me out and teach me how to play golf, and I never learned to say correctly on the golf course, but I did learn about taking care of my guys, and I learned how to be humble, and I think that you taught me a lot of humility, so thank you. And Dave, you're my partner in crime, and I appreciate that. Thanks for the Richard Petty letter and help for getting us here today. I appreciate it. Bob Henry. Where are you, Bob? There you are. Bob really started out as my brother's friend in high school, but Bob and I kind of became close. And Bob, you're my brother, and I love you dearly, and I appreciate you being here all the way from Dallas, Fort Worth. I appreciate it. And last, I want to say thanks to my team from DFAS. Chief Luster, you and I, when I told you I was going to retire, I kind of just jokingly said, well, let's make this an off-site. And then every one of you from my team, y'all stepped up and said, hey, I want to take annual leave to be here. And that speaks really highly of you guys, and it really makes me glad to be a part of the team, and I appreciate that. The other day I was doing some ciphering. For those of you who remember watching Beverly Hills, Beverly Hillbillies, you know, Jethro was always ciphering. And since 9/11 to today, it's 3,560 days since the attacks on America began in our counter response. And out of those 3,560 days, I've been away from home and I've been away from my wife for 1,700 of those days. And so the people from like Bill Nichols, Jim Grider, Tom Help, Christine Aaron, you guys put up with a lot and kind of take care of stuff while I was away, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate my team members. You guys really mean a lot to me, and I'm really glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. So, I said all the thank yous I intend to say, sort of. I'll say a few more thank yous to the end, but I want you talk about different years where things happen, that were my career. Well, today's not about me, so let's talk about some things that happened in 1979 as an example. 1979, gas was 90 cents a gallon. It'd be nice to have 90 cents a gallon gas. Our first operational space shuttle, Columbia, was delivered from Palmdale, California to Cape Canaveral. Saddam Hussein came to power in Iraq. ESPN, one channel, not quite 24 hours a day, and the post came into our lives. Then we moved on to 1982. Sony introduced the first commercial CD player, 1982. Probably more important, at the University of Utah, Barney Clark. Anybody remember Barney Clark? He received the first artificial human heart in 1982. Willie McGee, center fielder for St. Louis Cardinals, made a circus catch at the wall, led the St. Louis Cardinals to their 9th World Series championship. You like that one, Mark? Had to have that one for you. And Michael Jackson's Thriller was the top-selling album. Now, fast forward a little bit further, 1986, Challenger was destroyed 73 seconds after launch because of a malfunctioning solid rocket booster. A flight of F-111s from RAF Lakenheath attacked Libya following the bombing of the LaBelle discotheque in Operation El Dorado Canyon. The Cosby Show was a top TV show, and someone named Lady Gaga was born. What's Lady Gaga? Let's fast forward a little bit further to when I got out. The Peace dividend was being recouped in 1992. Gas was a buck and a nickel a gallon. And NAFTA accords were signed, and the Mall of America opened on what was the site of Metropolitan Stadium. And I think somewhere the home plate is still in the Mall of America. 97. Gas $1.22. Princess Diana was killed in a tragic accident in Paris involving Gruff the crime dog was taking a bite out of crime. Iron Mike Tyson took a bite out of him. So in 32 years, there's been a lot of changes. Saddam Hussein's no longer around. A gallon of gas today, about $4 a gallon, but when you adjust it for inflation, it's only about $1 more than what we were paying in 1979. Only one flight remains in the space shuttle program, Atlantis Lone Pad, going to launch in July. How many ESPN channels are there? And I still don't know what Lady Gaga is. So, final thanks. My grandkids, I wish my grandkids could have been here today. 6 of them, I love them dearly. We've had some flags flown and U.S. fighter aircraft, and they'll get one of those. Their mom's going to take care of those for them until they're a little bit older. Caleb, you're here representing you and your sister. You guys have done great things, and I'm really proud of you. You know, you persevered through a lot of things. You followed me places. You're probably wondering why you followed me places. When we lived in Turkey, she had bright blonde hair, and the Turks would come up and just touch it for good luck. She was great. So I've got a little something for you. Kayla, I really am proud of you. And I want you to know that I love you dearly. And this is for you, baby. I love you very much. And the last person that I've got to say thank you to is my wife, Lynn. Lynn sacrificed her career. She gave it up. She let me go play. You know, she was the breadwinner. Let's call a spade a spade. You know, in 1979, how many? Okay, I'm the old guy. There's an ad for join the Air Force and make great money, more than $419 a month starting salary. What they didn't say was $419.90. And I got to tell you, that's hard to raise a family on $419 a month. So Lynn kept her career going, sort of, but she sacrificed and had to start over again every time we went. And I don't know one single thing I can give to you to tell you how much I appreciate it and what your support and your love mean to me. But I'm going to make a donation to the victims of the Joplin tornado, since that's kind of close to home for us, in your name, because I think that kind of fits with your given nature. And that's up for you. So I think I came prepared. I sort of think I've been brief, and so I'm going to be gone. But the last thing I want to say is I appreciate everybody being here. I really do. About 4 or 5 blocks down the street, Logo Shaw's, where we're planning to go have lunch. If anybody wants to join us, it is a no-host affair. No-host affair, that means I ain't buying. Like normal. I learned from the best. Thank you very much.
I must say, I'm a little disappointed. I didn't see the tears, the alligators. I had stuff lined up. That's okay.
Hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, it's great to see you join the ranks of the rest of us. And you're my friend, and I appreciate the friendship that we have. And one more connection that he and I I joined the Air Force on the 21st of July. He's leaving the Air Force on the 21st of July. Yeah, so I think that's kind of a neat kinship that we'll share forever. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes Lieutenant Colonel Cooper's retirement ceremony. In 1 hour. Remain standing and recite the Airman's Creed. And I think it's on the back. I am an American Airman. I am a warrior. I have answered my nation's call. I am an American Airman. My mission is to fly, fight, and win. I am faithful to a proud heritage, a tradition of honor, and a legacy of valor. I am an American Airman. Guardian of freedom and justice, my nation's sword and shield, its century independence. I defend my country with my life. I am an American Airman, wingman, leader, warrior. I will never leave an airman behind. I will never falter. I will not fail. I have to say, I think that you led your career or based on this creed. Even though we didn't have this creed for years, we had it in your heart. So thank you for your service. Thank you so much for coming. Following a brief photo session, Colonel Cooper with Colonel